Welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat Vodcast, featuring candid interviews with practitioners, consultants, and solution providers on hot topics in the information governance industry. Here's your host, Jim Merrifield.
I'm your host, Jim Merrifield, and with me today is Andrew Ysasi at VRC. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm happy I actually got your name right, the pronunciation. It's almost like Sauce Gardner. I'm a Jet fan, so welcome to the hot seat. Let's get to know you a little bit. Can you tell us a brief introduction of your role, how long you've been with VRC, and one fun fact about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Well, again, thanks for having me on the hot seat. I'm a fan. I've watched as many episodes as I can. It's good to see the friendly faces and hear the conversations. So I came to VRC through an acquisition of a company called Kent Record Management in Michigan in, December of 18. So we'll be going on 5 years now with VRC here in a couple of months, which is hard to believe. Time flies, right? And there I was a VP of the company, and coming over to VRC, I got put into a role called VP of Advocacy. And our CEO, Danny Palo, and I, we had a conversation about what that meant. And he wanted me to essentially mentor, educate, lobby, and volunteer on behalf of VRC to the IG and RIM community. So I've been fortunate to be able to do that for almost 5 years now with VRC. I absolutely love it. It's just one of those jobs you wake up and it's like, do I really get to do this? So that's been a lot of fun. And then I also, along the way, I teach at San Jose State University. I'm in their MARA program as an instructor, and I teach 3 classes there. So I'm very fortunate to be active in an industry that I love through VRC and through San Jose State.
Yeah, for sure. No, you do a lot in the community, both at work and also, teaching. And you're also involved with the CRM, the ICRM, I should say. Yeah. And so that's great. But what's that fun fact? You can't forget that fun fact about yourself. I wasn't going to let you skip it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, fun fact is, every now and then I like to go what I like to say off grid, and I just leave my devices at home, leave the Fitbit at home, and I jump in I have a Chevy Nova 76 SS that I'll take out, and it's got Bluetooth, but there's no Bluetooth to connect to any device. And I take that out on the roads in the summer and just cruise around and kind of get some time, with nature and some gasoline and some noise. So it's a lot of fun. That's a fun fact about me.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, I wouldn't have known that. It's like Fast and Furious style. Are you a fan?
Kinda. Yeah, maybe I've slowed a little bit, as you get up there, in maturity and age. But sometimes it's nice to get on the highway and put that pedal down.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for that. So let me ask you a question. So can you explain the importance of secure and efficient record storage for businesses in the current digital landscape? I know, the digital landscape is just, everything's changed, right, over the last several years. And so interested in your thoughts on that topic.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. You think of landscape, you look at, I immediately go to information governance and look at what that landscape looks like. And you've got your business, security, IT, privacy, risk, RIM, all that. And it's a broad landscape. You think of internal, external stakeholders. But I think the big ones right now, especially coming out of conference, are really 3 things. It's certainly the cyber threats are incredibly intense right now. And then we're literally under attack. As organizations, the privacy regs, the legs and regs, we would like to say at VRC, continue to change the way not only our clients, but how we operate, how we handle information that's in our systems, especially as it relates to not only financial information, but also, personally identifiable information. And I think the last one is the emerging technology, what's coming. We saw a lot of AI, artificial intelligence, being talked about at InfoCon this year. Web 3.0 blockchain technology is starting to isn't going away. It's there. So I think those 3 things are definitely really hot right now, and that creates awareness on our side, is not only with physical but also the electronic offerings that we provide, making sure that we're preparing ourselves to mitigate those risks, address those risks from a reg standpoint, and to make sure that our customers know that, we're aware of these things. And then on the back end too, you mentioned, landscape with just record storage, continuing to keep up with operational efficiency, making sure that, our costs are managed with, the increased costs of everything around us. How does that relate? Coming up with creative ways for our customers to be able to leverage our solutions to save money with us, and also save some of their own operating costs. These are all very common discussions that, we're having with clients, and we're happy to be part of those discussions.
Yeah, we're glad you're part of those discussions, positioning yourself as a thought leader in the space, and also VRC as a company. So let's talk a little bit about VRC. What do you think sets your record storage solutions apart from the others available in the market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can speak first as an employee of VRC, having been an employee for almost 5 years. How I've been treated, the amount of respect I get, the access I get to staff, and whether it's our warehouse workers to our CEO, is very similar to what I had at Kent Records, which was a significantly smaller company. So that told me that, holy cow, I'm dealing with a company that I could speak to or approach anyone, and not feel like I'm bothering anyone, or feel like I'm a burden to them, as an employee. And frankly, that tells me, like, if I can do that as an employee, then that hopefully clients can feel that way as well. And I've heard that, from clients, so that alone, let me know that you're dealing with people who genuinely care and understand, you. And I think maybe I like to think pie in the sky, that's the case for a lot of organizations, because, coming through COVID, we all went through, different losses and different changes, right? And kind of coming back together, it brings that sense of community back. Like, hey, we went through this together, and we're all here to support each other, not only our, fellow employees and colleagues, but our clients. I think some of the specific things that definitely make us unique is we're one of the only top 5 record storage service, shredding service, release of information service, ECM service companies in North America, which is something that we don't take lightly. One of the things that gets talked about here is, finding Nirvana, which is, kind of one system, and how can we be a part of that one system and one solution for our clients. It's easier to have a vendor and a partner who can help you with a lot of various concerns and pivot quickly, and who will listen, versus some of again, we need big tech. We use big tech too. You're kind of just a number with them, or you got an account number. But with VRC, we like to think that that's different. And then some of the smaller things too, I think, kind of goes more to, we have a national footprint, but it's more about local accountability. Our director of operations, our DOOs are available. We don't have any voicemail at VRC. There's no 800 number, so you can call. You can call 800 number to HQ, but most of our customers aren't going to call HQ. They're going to call the local sites, and you're going to call that local number. The domains are intentionally local. VRC of MI is one here. We've got here in Michigan. And, at worst case, you just go down the street, knock on the door, and there's going to be someone who's there. Hopefully, they're not going to let you in the record storage facility, but they'll let you into the admin area, of course. So we like to pride ourselves on having that accessibility.
Yeah, customer service is key, especially in this day and age with all the competition out there, right? To be able to contact somebody, either not through a 1-800 number, a general number, but actually being able to walk up to the facility or even have a contact like yourself, I think goes a long way.
It does.
For sure.
The problems are going to happen, right? Whether it's an external issue or an issue that, customer has, or we had, or we caused, we want to be a part of that solution. We want to be a part of that fix. So if you don't make yourself accessible, that doesn't send a great message, that customer service is a priority for you. So that's something that CEO down, board down, they talk about, being available. And I've had people come up to me and have, questions or concerns, and I will certainly listen and delegate or give it to someone else who can do it, because I'm not in that operational or sales function, but I certainly want to be able to help. And I totally understand that's part of the job. So I don't I don't run away from any of that anyway. I enjoy sometimes getting into things, and then I got to be reminded, Ysasi, no, it's not your deal. You go over here. Like, okay, yep, no problem.
Yeah, stay in your lane, right?
That's
I get
right.
that. Yeah,
Stay in your
I
lane.
get that a lot for sure. Yeah. So you mentioned priorities. Cybersecurity, right, is a priority for every company these days. So let's talk a little bit about how do you secure and maintain confidence of your clients' records and even generally. Do you see that as a tough thing to do in this digital landscape?
Well, it certainly has changed. Prior to being the internet, digital, all you had to worry about were locked doors and surveillance cameras, and maybe if you took it a step further, you'd have armed perimeter and guards and things like that. Not so much in the records facility, but just in physical security. Now with the cyber stuff, there's a whole lot more you got to be concerned about. And our industry went through several changes. The record storage industry went through several changes, really starting with more of the early 2000s into the late 2000s, where HIPAA and the omnibus that came out, it was about '09, really kind of changed that risk landscape for us, where, as business associates, we had to be responsible for potential fines if we had risk, whereas before that was up to the covered entity, which was on the health side. You had SOX before that, Sarbanes-Oxley, and it kind of changed, over time, that, hey, we really need to be mindful of not only what we're protecting physically, but also what we've got in digital databases, and whether those are front facing or back end. What type of protections do we have? So fast forwarding to now, we have absolutely invested in certifications for our organization. SSA 18, SOC 2, got a couple listed here. NAID certification for our shredding facilities, HIPAA compliance specialists on staff, high trust certification, PCI compliant facilities, to send that message that we do care about these things. And then further on top of that, realizing that organizations get breached even though they have those things, to mitigate some of the phishing, malware, attacks, ransomware, social engineering. We have ongoing security awareness and training that is done for our employees, that is a requirement. I'd like to think that, and policy education, of course, is a requirement. So there's been a big, at least on the VRC side, a big step up in that regard for not only our facilities administratively and our employees to be aware of these things. So that makes me feel a lot better, knowing that we care enough. Our executive team cares enough about that, where I'm learning about some of these certifications that I knew were out there. And it's like, I didn't know we had that. That's great. It sends a message that, hey, maybe they're listening to some of my presentations that I give, but it's a good feeling to know that they care about that. So what that means down the road, hopefully they'll continue on with whatever changes are coming.
Yeah, you've certainly done your homework. The certifications out there, and even as law firms, with our clients, I think even though you're a storage company, we share common interests, right? Whether a lot of times we're storing our client data with you, we're storing some on site, digitally, physically, what have you. So these certifications are definitely top of mind for our clients and your clients as well, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about some challenges. We know that in the record storage space, right, clients like firms, corporations, for better or worse, they want to transition their collection to another storage vendor, or vice versa. How have your services helped mitigate a transfer like that? Because there could be a lot involved with a transfer of. I'm sure you've done some acquisitions over the course of past several years, and you've seen what works and what doesn't work. So, can you share a little bit on that topic?
Yeah, I most certainly can. And coming from Ken Records, we went through acquisitions of companies and acquisitions of customers from other providers. So certainly was involved with that. And then with VRC, it's just a much bigger scale. So I had to not only go from my own experience, but I had to kind of go back and ask a little bit and say, hey, how do we do these types of things? But I think immediately what jumped out at me, without even having to ask, is the people and the commitment of resources that VRC provides to those endeavors. And some of them were at ARMA. some of the staffers that came out who work with those customers, in some of those major transitions. And it's nice to be able to not only contact, email, have their cells, be able to reach those folks in the event something comes up, but also seeing them and get to meet them and create that personal connection is important. Not everyone has that ability to do that, so that's a neat feature. I think just speaking about change in general, switching systems or switching providers in any regard isn't easy. Whether you're doing it for home service or whether you're doing it for work. And if you're doing it for work, there's obviously much bigger things at stake, right? Your own reputation, the service levels, is it going to meet or exceed what the expectations were? Because if you're looking at moving, clearly something isn't probably right, whether it's a cost standpoint or operational or both. So it takes time to go through that. And VRC is certainly no stranger to that. We in most cases, we're able to cover about 100%, of that cost. So then it's really just a logistic challenge of what that looks like with the other provider and with VRC and the sites. And because of our footprint now, we can say yes to a lot of those scenarios. Whereas before, I know at Kent Records, we couldn't. We had to rely on other solutions or partners, and VRC being large enough, they can do that. And then kind of operationally, there's those bi-weekly, monthly, as needed meetings to keep everyone up to date. And then the other part too, I think, is just understanding the value of the inventory, what can be captured, what isn't there. You've probably been a part of a big move, Jim, when you make that decision. There's an opportunity to kind of clean up what may not be great, from what you're inheriting. So some decisions have to be made there, and expectations have to be made there as well. And AI can only take you so far, and until one day we get robots that can go in and actually, put their hands in boxes and read barcodes and read characters, right? So there's some strategic decisions that can be made there. So there's a big incentive that we try to push to say, hey, let's include a cleanup here as well, because it's only better for the customer, but it's also better for us. So hopefully that answers your question. I know that's an important one.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for answering that. Giving me some insights into our listeners, into your process, and seems like you're a true partner, right, when those things happen. And it's never easy, I think, for both sides. Usually you're leaving a vendor because it's either a cost thing or a risk issue, or something just is not working out, or maybe it's just, a demographic issue,
Yep.
right? Maybe the company's getting larger and they want to consolidate or whatever. So it's nice to hear your process and insights into that. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
So we talked a little bit about regulations, and I think there's probably more coming out as we're even talking right now. More regulations for us to comply with and that sort of thing. And speaking for like VRC, or even as an industry expert like yourself, how would you advise companies stay up to date on these regulations and standards? And I know there's a new IG standard, there's record storage standards, there's all these standards, right? And so how do you keep it all together and stay sane at the same time?
Yeah. Well, I think the easiest answer is, having an intentional IG program, creating that, implementing that, that's all part of it, right? Having that external look at what regulatory changes are outcoming, and currently what you need to comply with, working with audit to measure that. Without that intentional IG approach, you're either relying on another area of the organization to do that, which could be missing out on the broader picture of what IG provides, or it's ad hoc as needed, which may not be good enough in the current landscape or your industry.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. So I know we talked about a lot today, Andrew, but any final thoughts for the audience today?
Well, I want to give a shout out to, our compliance team, Michelle Bird, our senior VP of compliance, kind of from the last question, her and her team are incredibly impressive, and they do a great job at VRC to kind of look forward to what's coming, how those are all going to impact us. I mean, we saw during COVID, privacy regs certainly around the world didn't change. They were popping up, and here around the U.S., we're seeing that more states are, either considering or have rolled those out. So Certainly, along with that and our security and awareness and privacy training they provide, it's just a great resource to have. So thanks for them. As far as other thoughts go too, I think organizations now more than ever, and I saw this in one of my presentations I give, there's an intentional investment being made in cybersecurity from 2018 to 2023 because of the threats that are out there. So depending on the industry and what's going on, either cyber could be a major driver, privacy could be a major driver, but in many cases it's cyber. And I would advise people that there could be some gaps, there could be some issues with getting that cyber program, that cyber group off the ground. And don't hesitate to look at IG to start something broader to help with that endeavor. Because of the standard that we know will be coming out in full in 2027, and now we've got some guidance, we've got some standards that we can follow to get us started. These threats and these risks aren't going away. So from a provider standpoint, like a VRC, and from a client standpoint, we all have to be vigilant in making sure that we protect the information that we collect during our normal course of business. Again, as a provider and as a client, and we can't ease up on that. We're going to have to invest more. So. Try to find time for people to get certified, go to training, get education, go to a conference, and then keep them accountable because we need to know what we need to take care of moving forward and to protect all these things and to be prepared for what's coming next. So I'll leave you as my final thought. And to thank you, Jim, for having me on your show.
No, thank you. No, I think you're exactly right. I mean, with InfoGov, and it used to be InfoGov, you used to have to, partner up with IT, but, obviously under IT, there's IS or information security. And I see now more than ever, those two groups need to kind of coexist and figure this thing out with cybersecurity and things. So, and again, thank you so much for jumping on here, sharing your insights. We've saw a lot. You probably saw enough of me during the last few months, and look forward to catching up in person again. So again, thank you for being here. Thank the audience for attending today's episode. Please visit our website, infogovhotseat.com, to view the latest episodes. And if you'd like to be a guest like Andrew here on the hot seat, please submit your information to the website. We'll get you on the schedule. And thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and LinkedIn. Check out our main website at infogovhotseat.com to view our latest episodes and much more.